Here we are at Matson Motor Works, and we're going to be putting an easy connector splice in on a toy hauler. So here's the 7-blade end. I'm using the bolt cutters. I just found it easier to cut the cord with that than with the individual wire cutters. And you see me move down, and I've got to cut it a little bit deeper there. And now it's off. And I cut it as close to the end as I could, so if I had to redo the splice at any time, I'd have more room. And there I'm just showing you that I carefully cut away about 6 inches of the rubber coating to use later on top of the splice. And so I'm peeling back the wires now. And so here we are just looking at them. We're just going to wind up cutting them back. I'm setting the length as to what I want. And so you'll see me, ultimately, I'm going to use the green wire to set the length. And that'll be one of the first ones I hook up. I've cut them and I've stripped them, and I'm in the midst of stripping them and different things here. I'm not going to show you repeatedly how I strip the wires and do each and every connector. We're doing the white one here, which is the ground. It's going to be the shortest one that I did. And then I'm using the splice watertight heat shrink connectors on all of the 10 gauge wires. And then on the 14 gauge wires, you see me put the large heat shrink on over it. That comes with the easy connector, by the way. Then I'm going to use the shorter heat shrinks over the 14 gauge wires. So here's the 10 gauge sped up a little bit for you as I strip them all back and cut the length that I need. So what I did was I had already measured for what I wanted the final length of the first 3 to be, and I'm pretty sure I did the green one as the longest, and then the white was the shortest, and then the black was the next one. You just don't want to line all of your connectors up at the same point. It leaves a very big bundle right in the middle, so I did them all separate. So here you see, like I said, the green one set the overall length. And then I've got the connectors on them all. And then on the easy connector, I had measured the overall length of the wire to easily reach my truck. And so now I'm heat shrinking the first one. And so now overall, this will be the same length as what was already on the toy hauler. I could not replace the entire cable because it runs through the aluminum frame member of the trailer, underneath the floor, up the back wall, across the ceiling. I needed approximately 14 feet of cord. An easy connector did not have that. The longest they have is 8 feet of cord. So here we started crimping and heat shrinking each one. And you see that the crimps are all in different spots on the wire, so it lays as flat as possible. Here I'm stripping the white one on the easy connector side and setting that in. And then we're going to heat shrink that side too. And I do that, I crimp them and heat shrink them. It just gives me some support while I'm moving the other wires around too, so that I don't pull them out, and it sets my overall length. So then what I do is I try to get the wire about as straight as I can while I'm judging the length of it, and then I mark it, cut it, and then strip back about 3/8 of an inch of it to put in the connector. Then you see the heat shrinks on the yellow one, heat shrinks on the green. I'm putting it on either the red or the brown, I forget right now. Just speeding them up so you don't have to see it all. Now I'm splitting the plastic jacket that I was going to reuse just to give some rigidity and support over the splices. You see they're all done there. The plastic baggie on the end of the easy connector is just because it's pre-lubed with Vaseline jelly. If you're not familiar with the easy connectors, they have 2 O-rings there to give you a good watertight seal going into your connector. So now I test fit this, but I will be honest, the connectors made it just enough larger that I was unhappy with the fit. So I wound up not using this, and I wound up going and getting some electrical tape and taping the center down first so that they were all tight. And then I ran the tape over it again, tightening the tape down on either end of the plastic prior to the splice. You see me taping it up here. I was test fitting the heat shrink. Now I'll go ahead and bring the heat shrink over it and shrink it down over the entire splice after putting tape in the middle to help reinforce it. And prior to completely heat shrinking it and everything, we had plugged it into the truck, verified that all the connections were not only good, but that they worked according to what the wire should be. Also, the Easy Connector uses RV standard, so your colors should coordinate very well with what's on your RV trailer or toy hauler if you're going to move to this. If you're not familiar with the Easy Connector, I'm a big fan of these guys. No, I'm not sponsored by them, but I love that it's a magnetic plug, good positive connection, no more loose 7-way.